What's going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video. It's cold in my basement. That's why I have this hat on, if anybody cares. Today we're going to be talking about top 36 Superflex tight end premium rookie rankings for 2025. We've had some updates. Nicholas Singleton going back to school. Quinn Ewers declaring for the NFL draft. We'll probably have more updates. Full transparency, I recorded this video and then Nicholas Singleton declared, so I had to change some stuff around, but it's all good. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. And here's round one. So we have some big changes, not necessarily at the very top with Ashton Jeanty. I know he had a relatively subpar game in the college football playoff, but we have to go off of the full body of work. In this season, as we all remember, Ashton Jeanty threw 14 games, 29 rushing touchdowns, 2,600 rushing yards. The guy is unbelievable. I comped him to Alvin Kamara. I think he could be even better than Alvin Kamara. The contact balance is really what's striking about his game. He's extremely hard to bring down. And then we move to the 102, and Travis Hunter. I am still stubbornly clinging to Travis Hunter as a wide receiver. I feel like I'm the only one out there. If you feel the same way, that Travis Hunter can play elite receiver at the next level, let me know. But I'm hearing, especially from some of my IDP guys, that he's going to play corner, primarily cornerback, and I don't know if they're just hoping and wishing and praying that he plays corner, but he does feel like an IDP cheat code, really, if you play in an IDP league. But here's what I know about Travis Hunter. I feel he's an elite talent, both at corner and at wide receiver, and it's really just going to depend on what team drafts him, how they want to utilize him, how they see his value on the field, where they perceive him to be the best. And if that's cornerback, then I have to move him down. But right now, I'm going off of talent. I'm going off of if he plays wide receiver the majority of the time, I feel he belongs here. And again, that could change. Big change here, speaking of change, at the 103, I've moved up Cam Ward to the 103. I think he's the best quarterback in this class. Now, it would be best for all of these quarterbacks from this class to sit, in my opinion, for a year. We'll see if they get that opportunity. Probably not if Cam Ward's going to be drafted number 1 overall by Tennessee, like some people are projecting. If even in the top 5, like if he gets drafted by the Giants or the Raiders, or you know what I mean, they don't really have a great option there. So I don't love it right away, but I can't deny the quarterback in Superflex. And then maybe the biggest change, and that's Omarion Hampton. And there's a reason why I have moved Omarion Hampton ahead of Tet McMillan, and the reason is that Omarion Hampton's just a beast. You know, Omarion Hampton, multiple seasons of elite production in college, and this season, over 1,600 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns through 12 games, 281 rushes, and just a bigger, more physical running back that can catch the ball to the backfield. It's a theme in this class. I think this running back class is really good. I'm leaning into the strength of the class. And Tet McMillan, from what I've seen so far, and I've watched about 3 games, most of 3 games, for sure 2, I've seen a lot of good, not great. You know, I've seen him run routes short to intermediate really well. The deeper routes are a bit of a question mark. Getting separation down the field at his size, I mean, he might not need to because of his size and his hands, which I think are elite. I think he's a really good player, but as of right now, I just, I have Omarion Hampton over him, and that might be a little bit of a hot take, but let me know what you think in the comments. And then Shedeur Sanders. I can't deny that Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be a top 10 pick, but I will say that this quarterback class gives me the class of Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett vibes. It feels like that kind of a quarterback class where we could see these quarterbacks fall out of the first round. Maybe that's crazy, but I understand we have a lot of quarterback needy teams. But Shedeur Sanders for now is at the 106 because I can't deny that most people are mocking him in the top 10, if not the top 5. And if he gets that kind of draft capital, history would tell us that these quarterbacks are super valuable in Dynasty. Then let's go to the back half of the first round. Caleb Johnson, stud. Again, we have an elite year of production on his resume, over 1,500 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns. I believe he scored over 60% of Iowa's touchdowns. I'd have to fact check that. I'm going off my head with that, which is unbelievable. So Caleb Johnson, and some people are mocking him in the first round. If he goes in the first round, he could slide up these rankings very easily. And Luther Burden, Luther Burden had the down year this year, but Missouri was kind of a train wreck. I don't necessarily blame all of that on him. I still feel like he's an elite talent, and he's deserving of being the wide receiver 3 in this class behind Hunter and McMillan, and he'd probably move up ahead of Travis Hunter. Ted McMillan would move up to wide receiver 1, and Burden would move up to wide receiver 2 if Travis Hunter is going to play the majority of his time at corner. So that's a situation to monitor. Quinshon Judkins, one of my favorite players in this draft, did the latest All-22 breakdown on this channel, which you should absolutely check out. Broke down Quinshon Judkins. Very good, big physical, again, running back. Not as elusive as some other players, but again, when you're that big and that physical and you can catch passes out of the backfield, you don't necessarily need to be elusive if you can run people over. Emeka Egbuka, maybe one of the more underrated prospects in this class, because he's I don't know if he has the upside of a Luther Burden, but he's still really, really good. And then Trey Harris, another bigger wide receiver from Ole Miss. And then Trevion Henderson, which Quinshon Judkins' backfield mate, a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, a little bit shiftier, a little bit different style, but I still like Trevion Henderson a lot. And now let's move on to the second round, because this is where I would have had Nicholas Singleton right at the 201, but obviously he's going back to school. So Xavier Restrepo, this year's Ricky Pearsall, very good wide receiver, very polished route runner in my opinion. So I have him at the 201. Then Dylan Sampson, again, one of these undersized running backs, new age running backs, in a similar vein to Devon Chan, to Keaton Mitchell, one of these undersized players that is very slippery and elusive and fast, and he performed very, very well for the Tennessee Volunteers this year. 1,491 rushing yards through 13 games and 22 touchdowns is unbelievable production. And then we'll slide down to Devin Neal. And Devin Neal, there's 4 players, and it's a short I made. Devin Neal is one of these players that I absolutely am going to be ahead of consensus on. I feel like I'm ahead of consensus on because he's had 3 straight years of 1,000 yards rushing at Kansas. His running style, he's very patient. My prediction would be that the Steelers, if they move on from Najee Harris, he reminds me a good bit of Le'Veon Bell, but let me know what you think of that in the comments. Maybe Le'Veon Bell light with the patience that he runs with. Very intrigued by Devin Neal, one of my favorite players in the class. And then we have our first tight end, Tyler Warren, off the board here. Maybe, we don't have a tight end like Brock Bowers in this class, but Tyler Warren's very good and is, he can block in the running game. Some people have him mocked to the Broncos in the first round. That would be an amazing landing spot for Tyler Warren, and that would be, he feels a little bit like Jeremy Shockey to me, and that would be a nice fit for Sean Payton. Jordan James can cut with the best of them. He's a very good running back. I could see the 49ers with their zone scheme and his cutback ability. I mean, I know they have Christian McCaffrey there, but, who knows what his health status is going to be. I feel like he'd be a pretty good fit there with what they like to do. And then Jackson Dart, my quarterback 3 in this class. If I were an NFL franchise, I would pass on Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward at the top of the draft and maybe wait to get, a Jackson Dart, maybe a Kyle McCord from Syracuse is interesting later. But for fantasy, Jackson Dart, I feel, is really, really, really underrated right now. And then Colston Loveland, tight end 2 from Michigan there. Brashard Smith at the 208. 15th in rushing this year, 1,300 yards rushing, 14 total touchdowns at SMU. Really, really good production. Feel like he's underrated. And then we have a couple interesting names at wide receiver. Jalen Royals is somebody that's really raw, but is a playmaker. And same story with Isaiah Bond. I don't know where Texas finds these guys that are super speedy. And I don't know if he's as good as Xavier Worthy, but he's an interesting player who, I mean, we were talking to Cody Carpentier, who covers the Texas Longhorns for Orange Bloods, and he was saying Isaiah Bond would have been a lot better if he hadn't been dealing with injuries. So that's a player to look out for who could rise up these rankings. And then, sandwiched in there is Jalen Milroe. And I'm not the biggest fan of Jalen Milroe. He's my quarterback 4, but I cannot deny the rushing upside that he has. And it's, if he gets a favorable landing spot, he has a chance to move up. And then last in this round is Ollie Gordon. I just can't deny what Ollie Gordon did in 2023. And I know this year wasn't great for him, but I think the team wasn't really that good around him. And I think that matters. I think it's very similar to Luther Burden, where we're scratching our heads going, what happened here? And some people are going to say, well, it's because he's not very good. And if I remember right, there was another Oklahoma State running back who didn't have a very good last season in college, and that was Chuba Hubbard. And look at where Chuba Hubbard is right now. And I'm not saying that these guys are complete, they're not the same player at all. Chuba Hubbard, 6'1", 210 pounds, actually from Edmond, Alberta, Canada, like a lot of those WWE wrestlers are. Yeah, Chuba Hubbard in his last year in college, 7 games played, 625 yards rushing, only averaged 4.7 yards per carry, scored 5 touchdowns. And then Ollie Gordon this year, 190 carries, down from 285 carries the year before, 880 yards, did score 13 touchdowns. So there are some parallels there, some similarities between those two players coming out of the same college. Let's move on down to round 3 now. And this is where I think we had the most change, and this is probably where you're going to see the most fluctuation. Quinn Ewers declared for the NFL draft. He's at the very top of round 3. Alec Ayumanor, you can make a strong case that I should have him higher. He had one of the better games against Travis Hunter in college that you'll see. I believe Colorado played Stanford in 2023. DJ Giddens, very impressive player. Again, you can make an argument I should have him a little bit higher. 14th in rushing this year, 1,343 yards, 7 rushing touchdowns for Kansas State. Very good production there. Very good player. And then, we have Cam Scatterbo. Cam Scatterbo, I have him here now, and I didn't have him ranked at all in the first iteration of this video series that I did before the new year. But you can't deny what he did this year. I mean, 21 total touchdowns, 1,700 yards. How's the NFL going to view him? I don't know. I mean, the NFL, I guess there could be some crazy team that takes him in the 2nd or 3rd round. That's probably best case scenario. More likely scenario, he probably gets drafted in day 3 somewhere. And this is about where he will go in your rookie drafts. So this is where I have him for now. But admittedly, I have more film work to do on him. Let me know what you think of this ranking in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're liking it and you want more of it. We're going to be doing videos like this, rookie breakdowns, rankings, mock drafts, you name it, we're going to do it. Jaden Higgins, I had to throw the Iowa State receivers in here because I was impressed with their ability. Jaden Higgins, a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical than a Jalen Knoll. Different skill set, but still, impressive. Then Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks this season, very under the radar for Texas Tech. He just rushed for 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. No big deal through 11 games. So, again, another talented running back in a class filled with talented running backs. I think, really, this year you're going to be able to scoop up a lot of these running backs in the late 2nd, early 3rd round, and you're going to want a lot of picks in that range because, again, I feel like these running back classes deep, you're going to want to take multiple shots at these guys, And again, this could be the great reset at running back. It very well could be. A lot of talent in this class. And Jack Beck is in there behind Brooks, ahead of Noel, who we talked about. Then, Ty Felton, Tej Johnson, Evan Stewart, the Oregon wide receivers, and then Harold Fannin Jr., who is interesting. And to be honest with you, I don't really, I'm not really sure what to do with him. He led the nation, from what I'm looking at here. NCAA led the country in receiving yards through 13 games at Bowling Green. 13 games, 1,555 receiving yards, 117 receptions, 10 touchdowns. Very athletic tight end. I have more work to do on him, but I am intrigued by his prospect. Kind of just initially having watched some of his tape kind of gives me, maybe a little bit of Jonnu Smith there to his game, who obviously Jonnu Smith had a really good season this year with the Miami Dolphins. But that's it. That's the top 36 Superflex tight end premium rookie rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.